Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Howdy, and welcome to the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here at Silverstone. It is the start of this series presented by FindingSpeed.com. I'm Austin. I'm joined by Adam Thompson with Samuli Kumo in the production booth, and you're here live watching Apex Racing TV. Adam, Silverstone, GT3s, and Finding Speed. What's a better combination?
Yeah, it's great ring. 5 rounds, and what an opening round to start on at Silverstone, home of the British GP. And obviously, we were all entertained today from the actual F1 series. Unfortunately, this round will not have rain in it, as it hasn't come to iRacing yet. But I'm pretty sure that it's going to be action-packed out on track. All the cars obviously have a fixed setup for this series, so it's all down to driver skill to be able to see who's going to come out on top in the Pro and the Am categories, Austin.
Yeah, we got 2 categories, the Pros and the Ams, identified by the colors by their cars, and everything, the golds being the Pros and the silvers being the Ams, kind of like the gold drivers and silver drivers in British GT. Which, speaking of British GT, this calendar that we follow, this 5-race calendar, is following the British GT calendar as well as the British GT scoring system. So, we're going to be having a lot of fun. 2 different classes, fixed setup series, the iRacing Sprint setup with 60% fuel limit, and they will be having access to 1 faster pair. But yeah, competitors ranging from 1.5 iRatings all the way to 4.2 iRating. Pros and Ams, and it's going to be a lot of fun. They're all competing for $1,000 in prizes from Asetek SimSports and Apex Racing Academy.
Yeah, it definitely is. As we can see, the cars out on track in the final part of the practice now before they go to 3 laps of solo qualifying. As we can see, Austin, with the introduction of the Mercedes, a heavily biased Mercedes field out here today with a splattering of Ferraris, a couple of the BMWs, some Audis, but no McLarens and no Lamborghinis, which is quite unusual in a GT3 championship. So certainly not the car of choice anymore, but the Mercedes certainly is.
Yeah, some of the iRacing updates might have nerfed a few cars, and usually with the newest car being released, it sometimes becomes the best car. I remember Lamborghini Mania when it hopped on an iRacing, and it was Lamborghinis. Well, like you said, 24/7 for about a year until it all calmed down, and then it became the BMW Mania. But now it's Mercedes Mania, and honestly, with that sound it sounds so beautiful. As we are looking at one of our few BMWs of Timothy Bree, and they're just having a bit of trouble coming out of Luffield, it looks like.
Yeah, it is, and that was an opportune moment to just switch the cameras to Timothy there, just catching him as he was losing it out of that corner, coming down onto the old pit straight there for Timothy Braid. One of only 2 BMWs, in fact there's 3 BMWs out in the field today, but we can see in the timing tower at the moment dominated by the Mercedes, as we come to expect out on track with the new car. Like you said, Austin, you know, iRacing normally makes it quite good when it introduces a new car, and all the drivers seem to jump in there, but it's a brilliant sound. I absolutely love the sound of that car as it goes past the burbling V8s.
It really does, and when you're commentating on it, oh man, it's just beautiful noise, beautiful V8 beauty of a noise. I'm all for V8, so hey, let's get some more of that.
It certainly is. And one of the interesting prizes on offer to this championship is this brand new, not released yet, SimSport Invicta Sim Racing boots worth $100 that will start shipping in August. So the winners of the Pro and the AM category will be one of the first in the world to get these brand new boots from SimSport. So all to play for the championship. It's going to be an interesting one. Great track to start off with, Austin. Really wide. Good opportunities for a lot of passing maneuvers, but slipstream's going to be a really big thing around this Silverstone circuit today.
Yeah, getting a good run coming out of the loop and heading in through Antry and onto the Wellington Straight into Brooklands is going to be one of the biggest straights, and also Magus Beckinson Chapel and the Hanger Straight. Those are going to be very important things to close down the gap on the cars ahead of you and get a good run heading through Vale and into that final chicane, as well as a run up through Woodcott and heading into Cops. You know, it's kind of difficult to make that move, but if you get a very good run through Brooklands after Wellington Straight and a good launch out of Luffield, you could be getting a very good opportunity for a movement into Cops. Though these are GT3's cars and not Formula 1, so they're not going to be heading into their expecting to go full throttle through there. So there's going to be a little bit of slice and dicing happening right there. And, you know, that corner is definitely going to be separating drivers who are very brave and drivers who want to be finishing this race.
Yeah, definitely. Just a shout out to all our YouTube winners on Apex Racing TV and Finding Speed YouTube channels. If you want to get a shout out, just put some message in there, or any questions to us, the commentators, about this race. We will endeavour to get them out on the stream for you, as we're just watching Chris Van der Nessie just getting his warm-up lap here. Each driver has 3 laps in qualifying, all closed qualifying, so no advantage to each driver from slipstream, so it's purely down to the driver's skill to get that fast lap in. And that's probably one of the really good things about this series, Austin, is that because it's fixed, you haven't got the advantage of having the setup gods giving you the ultimate setup. Everybody's on the same level playing field.
Everybody is on the same level playing field, but the downside is some fixed setup cars don't go the way that of your driving style that actually prefers it. I know a few drivers that really prefer the oversteering car, and then some drivers that prefer a understeering car, but a fixed setup base and a lot of cars to choose from is definitely the most preferred way of having a balanced series, because there's definitely setups out there that will give you a massive advantage.
Yeah, there certainly is. You know, not everybody, like you say, not everybody's going to be really clued on the sprint setups, really, and not coming to grips with it. But, you know, they signed up for the series. They knew what the rules were. So, therefore, you know, they knew what they were getting into. So I'm pretty sure these guys would have done a lot of practice on these setups to try and get them, as we currently watch Darren Doherty starting off his lap in one of the only 3 Audis in the field here today. So great livery as always from Darren and Doherty Racing Team, the Irish colours on his Audi car.
Yeah, it's a very, very pretty car with the black base and then the Irish colors striped and flown around it. Very nice car to look at. And, you know, one of the few Audis out there, and the Audi, a definite classic on iRacing and still a favorite in a lot of drivers' hearts.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we're getting a few shout-outs on YouTube channel. Matthew Robinson is saying, let's go Glenn Hopkins, and Sam Soid Khan Blue Racing Team. So big supporter there for Glenn Hopkins is Matthew Robinson. So, yeah. Get your shout-outs, guys. We'll get them out where we can. And any questions you got as we look on board of Glenn Hopkins in this one of many Mercedes out on track. It's just going to be that burbling sound we're going to hear all stream, isn't it, Austin?
It really is. So I hope your eardrums are very relaxed, because they are going to be extremely relaxed at the end of this broadcast with the vicious vibrations of this Mercedes engine.
Yeah, it definitely is. As we should start seeing some lap times coming in very shortly. A lot of the drivers out on their first hot lap. Glenn Hopkins currently out on his, coming round.
I believe our first driver that will be coming across the line is Alex Crater. Actually, no, Leon Kohler. And that BMW, they put in the first lap time right there, 1:57.777. And it is a pro time there, followed by Carter. There is Forte taking that top spot, and now we're just going to be getting all the times pretty much at the same time. It's a 10-minute solo qualifying session for all these drivers, and we're going to have 3 attempts at laps. So most of these drivers might be waiting just a little bit, maybe see if they can get the track just a little bit rubbered in from the other drivers out there. But Glover takes the top spot for our AMs in that second spot, and now it's taken by Mika of No Limit Sim Racing and that Mercedes, which is taken by David Chadwick now.
Yeah, it definitely is. David Chadwick there. We'll send it Sim Racing top of the AMs with a 158.59. So just under a second slower than the top pros at the moment. So Dave Chadwick doing an exceptional job in mixing it up a little bit with the pros. But like we said, they've got 3 laps to get it done. This is only the first of 3, but they've got to be careful. You know, this track is notoriously bad for getting them pesky little off tracks, and as you've only got the 3 laps to try and get a flying lap in here at Silverstone, it can really put pay to your qualifying. And with the field being quite a decent size, about 30 drivers, you don't want to be caught at the back of the field trying to make your way through. You want to try to get yourself up there to the front of the grid to make sure you get away from any carnage that could possibly ensue on that first lap.
Yeah, that first lap is always key to making everything all nice and dandy. It'll be a rolling start, as is with most GT racing. Actually, with all GT racing, I don't know what GT series that starts with standing starts, as that would be chaos at times. But yeah, rolling starts here, heading into Abbey Farm and then into Village, being the first opportunity for that that little arena at Village and the Loop. Always going to be seeing cars dive it up the inside, heading to Village, or just try to get the opportunity to launch out of there. But first laps here are probably going to be very tightly packed, but it's where we're going to start seeing our main contenders really shine.
Yeah, it definitely is. And also got to be wary of that first lap, because obviously the front runner of this GT3 will probably back up the field as they come down into Vale, as they come down into the club complex. And then obviously making sure when he goes past that first corner, he'll probably go then, which will then concertina, the pack behind him. So we may see a few incidents going through club even before the start finish. I've seen it loads of times here at Silverstone. And then another area of interest will be down to the village turn. Coming down after they pass Abbey and Farm, there is going to be another area where drivers will be a little bit optimistic probably and try to put the car on the inside. So just need to make sure that they try and get through there safely. Hence the reason why you really need to try and get out the front of this field.
Yeah, the farther you are out in front, the easier it will be, the less amount of traffic you have in front of you, and the less amount of potential incidents you will have to be dodging. As you said, with that opportunity for incidents, but everybody up here in the top 10, I believe, will not be having to be worried about that, and they're just going to be worried about finding their partner, getting a good run, and then hopefully, well, not losing the sign of our few leaders, because Ports Ring and Rolek, the two teammates, Tim and Lawrence, are going to be very off the line and on fire because they are both on the same teammates, and you know, they are very rapid with the 1:57.7s time right there. Hortzring ahead by 0.05 of a second, and then the top four separated just by 0.3, and the top three just separated by 0.07 of a second right now.
It is extremely close at the top of the order at the moment, as we can see on the timing tower. The top three extremely close. Chris Van Den Nesse not that far behind, but very compact pro field with Dave Chadwick obviously still leading that AM position in P9 with a 1:58.469. So a sterling lap there from our only Canadian in the race, David Chadwick. So good luck to Dave, who I know personally, so no bias at all.
No, I'm detecting bias right there.
No, none at all, none at all.
Yeah, definitely bias. To be fair, there are a lot of names that I do recognize in this field, so I do recognize them. I've talked to these drivers before in different series, some here on Apex Racing TV, some outside of Apex Racing TV, and some not even in road racing, actually.
No, definitely not. A lot of usual suspects, as we would call them, into these GT3s. Very dedicated to GT3 series on iRacing, and pretty much just gets on to every series, and it's great to have them with us today. We know it's going to be a fantastic race. Really looking forward to this. And it's going to be interesting to see if some of these AM drivers who are doing really well at the moment. We've obviously mentioned Dave Chadwick. We've got Mika Getteris in 12th position. Then we've got a couple of the pros further down. So it's going to be interesting then, pro drivers that are behind amateur drivers, how they deal with trying to get past the AM drivers.
Yeah, not the best qualifying for some of the pros. You know, them starting behind the AM drivers is probably, you know, a combination of not used to the car, not used to Silverstone, but is definitely showing the pace of some of the AM drivers and their preparation for this race. Short pace lap here as Tim Rolek will be starting on pole position. It's a 1-2 for Kawana Gaming. Lawrence Hodsring in second place. Leon Kohler, Chris Van Nesse, Patrick Gannon, Dan Carter, Scott Reister, Adam Hedgecock, Dave Chadwick in pole position for our AMs, followed by Chris Gooch, Alex Crater, and Mika Geratis in 12th place. They're followed by Nathan Richardson, Paul Colashaw, Alan Mystic, Baron Glover, Coy McGrath, David Flanagan, and Timothy Bray, followed by Kenneth McGrath, Matthew Gunson, Stephen Brown, Phil Reagan, and Darren Doherty in 24th. And the final four spots is Robert Odams, Alex J. Peck, Glenn Hopkins, and Jonathan Ocasio at the end of our grid, and our only driver not to put in a lap time for qualifying.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting start to this race, and also what we haven't talked about is obviously that pit stop, mandatory pit stop in this hour-long race, which can always throw up a curveball in the running orders, and it's down to the drivers and where they actually come in for them pit stops. So it's going to be interesting to find out the pit stop strategies. And with the two teammates out in front on the 1 and 2, it's a great day to be in K1 Gaming.
Yeah, the 1-2 Mercedes are definitely going to be working together on this start. They're definitely going to be knowing when Tim is going to be letting them go, but I believe they'll be going on green like most GT series, and they do not have a start zone. Our Porsche safety car is pulling off right now. And you can see everybody on this short pace lap, back of the field is still trying to get lined up, but our first, I would say our first 5 rows are definitely up there and all lined up and ready to go right now. Tell that our pro drivers are ready to get in to go, and he's already gone for it. Tim and Lawrence, they knew exactly when they go when they're rounding Vale, and side-by-side start heading into Vale, turn into a single file shootout right there for K1 Gaming as Tim and Lawrence lead out the field right now, followed by Kohler, Nessie, Gannon, and Carter. Carter diving down to the inside, looking for 5th place right there. And Dan Carter, the no-limit sim racing, but he's got a good opportunity heading into the village. Can he hold it around into the loop? No, Gannon gets it back right there. David Chadwick leading our AM championship, leading our AM championship drivers as he is battling with Gooch right there. He decided to stay behind Gooch, and you can tell if a driver is in the pros and if not. He probably knows who is a pro and who is not right here, and he is right ahead of his amateur championship challenger, which is Mika right behind him on his gearbox, and he wide open right there for Mika in that 27 no limits machine. And Mika could have a look right there and a look for the lead, but they're too far back for a opportunity heading into Cops Corner.
Yeah, Tim and Lorenzo at the front of that field working exceptionally well together. Obviously, it will be on the same Discord channel to say when they're both going, but really got a leap over the third place corner there and managed to just secure half a second advantage coming out of Vale onto the start-finish straight. So a great bit of teamwork there between them as we see them all coming down, hanging straight for the very first time. But a very clean lap overall for the first lap. No incidents sort of to be reported on. The biggest loser, probably David Chadwick, obviously getting a little bit swamped by the pro drivers coming down there as we see Liam Cullen getting a little bit with Chris Van Der Nessie going on the outside coming down into Vale. Just not going to be able to get the car turned in inside losing, and possibly now coming under pressure from Paul Gannon in 5th place. So that opportunity to try and take 3rd may have cost him a place in 4th. At the moment, Paul Gannon managed to keep the car in ahead, but Chris Van Der Nessie just backing out there, coming through Abbey and just living to fight another day.
Yeah, Patrick Gannon with that move right there, but once again under pressure by Dan Carter. Carter once again looking down to the inside, just like he did on the opening lap of this series, but it's nowhere to be found right there for Dan Carter in that number 8, as Carter is going to be behind Nessie and Gannon right now.
Yeah, I mean, those two out front have just got away from the field. A 2-second gap between 2nd and 3rd at the moment. Obviously, Kona coming under a lot of pressure from Chris Van Der Nessie, having to do a little bit defensive, which has given the opportunity for the front two to actually just scamper away and got a decent 1.9 second lead. Have the two teammates from K1 Gaming out in front, Tim and Lorenzo, so they've done a fantastic job. Ooh, no!
Big collision heading into Cops Corner, and it's in the middle of the track right there. Kohler getting collected, got pushed in the rear and into the wall, and it's a massive crash right there at Cops Corner. And the highest speed corner in racing, one of the highest speed corners in racing, and it's a massive crash. That is so unfortunate for Leo Kohler, and I think there's going to be a little bit more. You know, he was punted off right there. Doherty was down the inside. Kohler is trying to keep that car just in its own way, and nowhere to go as Doherty was trying to, I think, just trying to get past him, but he might have had damage right there. But so unfortunate for Kohler right there. As he was tapped in the rear. I'm not sure who tapped him, though.
That was Gannon. Yeah, it was Gannon coming up to Cop's corner, and that's just iRacing, you know, go from hero to zero in the space of one lap, and Kohler was there in third place, pretty much secured in third place, with a little bit of pressure from behind. Little tap from Paul Gannon coming down, like you said, into Cop's corner, sends him out, and pretty much he will be in the pits now, right at the back of this race, just getting repaired, but he will be a happy chappy. Yeah, he does, yes.
The bright side is he has a fast spare. Unbright side is he's still got to go into the pits again.
He certainly will, and he'll be fighting his way back from quite far back in the field, so he's got a lot. It's going to be a very quiet race for him until he gets back onto the back of the field, and then he really has to work hard to try and get in front of the amateur drivers. So it's going to be a long day at the office from Leon Kohler, who was in third place, but an unfortunate incident coming around Cops, as we're seeing Scott Rissler there doing the same by Paul Gannon accidentally tapping the back of his car and spinning him around into Cops. So not an ideal day at the office from Leon, but what that has done is given an even more incentive between the front two to scamper away. Has Lorenz had an issue out front in second place, because he seems to be not that far away from Gannon.
No, he's just separated just by 7/10. It's a normal separation to see by teammates. They know that Gannon is really far away from behind him. Gannon under pressure with that incident, as Carter and Reiser are side by side for 5th place right there. Reiser on the outside, Carter on the inside. The 42 getting a good line around the outside of turn 16, heading into 17, but Carter holds it around the outside of that final corner, and Carter able to hold it for 5th place. But look, Adam Hedgecock in that Ferrari was side by side with Alex Crater right there, and Crater could have had a looked up on the inside ending through Abbey. He thought about it, but our top Ferrari driver Adam Hedgecock chasing down that battle for 5th place.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just looking at the movers and shakers in the field, Alex Crater in 8th place, up 3 places. Nathan Richardson up 4 places, our biggest mover, along with Dave Flanagan in 14th place, up 4 places. So those guys are the biggest movers in the field, and obviously, as to be expected, the biggest loser is Leon Kohler, currently in last place at the moment. So it's going to be a long, lonely race for the driver that was in 3rd place. Who started in 3rd place as well for this race. So not a great day at the office for Leon at the moment. But we look at the front of the AM battle. So Dave Chadwick still managing to keep out in front over Alan Mystic, who's just behind him in Mystic Turtles. But Mika seems to have fallen slightly back, because he was behind Dave Chadwick. So he's looks like Mika's had an issue somewhere out on track, and obviously Alan Mystic has capitalized on that to get that 2nd place overall in the amateur. But Dave Chadwick is currently leading the amateur battle.
Yeah, by a second to David Flanagan. I gotta say, the Mystic Turtles logo, probably the coolest team logo I've seen.
It is pretty cool, isn't it,
I just like turtles, okay? I like turtles.
Do you like turtles?
I like turtles.
But we can see at the front of the field now, obviously the front two pulled away from Paul Gannon, with Chris Van Den Essy quite far behind him. Then there's a bit of a gap back to 5th to Dan Carter, who has Rista, Hedgecock and Crater there in 8th place, all in a big long train of 4 cars there fighting out. Then another little gap of Richardson and Gooch in 9th and 10th. So little pocket battles in the top 10s are starting to form out on track.
Out on track, it is looking very good as Adam Hedgecock goes a little bit deep heading into Village, but he's got that inside line. He's actually defending for the 42 of Reiser. Reiser able to make that move. He was looking around the outside because Reiser was defending onto the inside as he's right on board of Adam Hedgecock, chasing out Reiser. He's chasing out Carter, racing down the Wellington straightaway, heading into Brookwood. So are we going to be seeing Reiser look down to the inside? No, it's just filling the mirrors of Carter right there. Carter leaving the door open onto the inside, heading into Brooklands and Luffield, but he's drifted out wide. Here comes Reiser up, they make contact right in front of Hedgecock. Hedgecock takes evasive action right there, avoiding the cars parked on each other in Luffield. massive contact, and he was in the right place at the right time to avoid that incident. And I was so glad we saw his hands shoot to the left. Insane reactions right there for Adam Hedgecock to avoid that, and now Hedgecock in 5th.
Yeah, it definitely was. Them two Mercedes, as we go to a replay on it, just coming around here, coming around
Watch
left
Carter
field.
drift out wide.
Yeah.
And he's going to be cutting down to the inside, realizing he left the door open, then just not leaving it, and just immediately Hedgecock just unwound the wheel, went to go straight into the gravel just a little bit, and stays in 5th. And him and Crater now are in a fight, as we're looking at Paul Colashaw side by side with a Ferrari and at Stowe heading into Vale. And Paul's getting ahead. A little bit of rough and tumbling right now. And watch out on the brakes. A little bit deep for Paul as he was chasing down Reister. And Reister's been having a rough and tumble day in this entire lap on lap 5. Well, he was bumped to the front, bumped to the back, bumped to the side. And well, Scott is definitely going to be wanting to pay a premium for that paint job at the end of this race.
It certainly does, as we see there. Dave Chadwick just getting right onto the back of the Ferrari of Paul Collishaw coming into Vale there. Just giving him a little helping tap to get his way through onto Vale as they started lap number 6 here at this hour-long race. Only 10 minutes in, 15 minutes left of this race to go, and it's overall, apart from a couple of incidents, it's been a relatively clean race so far, but Hedgecock, with that incident with the synchronized spinning of the two Mercedes, very lucky that both Mercedes actually went to the inside of the track and one didn't get punted out wide, or else that could have caused absolute chaos out on track, considering there was 4 drivers that were in close proximity to that incident as well. So luckily Hedgecock managing to steer clear of the 2 spinning Mercedes out in front. But coming on board with David Flanagan, looking at we're going back up to Corey McGrath here.
Yeah, McGrath 4th in the AM race right now in that Audi. He's got David Flanagan right behind David, one of our pros in the Ferrari, and it looks like David's got a very good speed exit out of Chapel, and this will be a very easy exit. He's not really going to be fighting that, and that Ferrari is very quick on straightaway compared to an Audi. And down to the inside goes Flanagan, and McGrath is going to be staying in his class position of 4th place, overall position of 15th. He's just trying to catch up to Mika, and he could be using that Ferrari's draft to catch up to Mika and maybe get up to Mystic and Chadwick. Chadwick 1.2 seconds in the lead, and he's not far away from that race as Mystic in 2nd place has put in a personal best lap, but it's just a tenth slower than Chadwick.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think exactly that's what McGrath is doing, just letting that pro driver go through and hopefully claw himself back up to the battle for that amateur championship as we go back on board with Dan Carter, who was involved in that earlier. Oh, as we see the Mercedes of Kenneth McGrath there, so McGrath doesn't really want to be following sorry, not McGrath. I forgot, who was it? The amateur driver that was in 4th. Who was it?
We were just following him.
Oh, right, yeah, Corey McGrath, sorry. There's Corey and Kenneth, is it? Is it Corey and Kenneth?
Yeah, Kenneth and Corey. The thing is, though, Corey and Kenneth, Corey and Kenneth, they share the same name, but they aren't driving the same car or for the same team.
So that's what threw me.
Yeah, I don't believe they're related to each other.
No, that threw me now. It's just thought, I'm sure there was McGrath in 4th, and then...
yes.
Yeah, there you go. 2 McGraths in the race. There we go, Rory. But, yeah, so he's got it all to do to try and get up as we watch Alan Mystique having a little bit of a battle here with Mika for that 2nd place in the amateur at the moment. So Mika managing to get right onto the back of Alan Mystique, which will pay into the hands of David Chadwick, our leader, as we can see just out in front with these 2 amateur guys battling it out. He has a good opportunity, as we can see the gap already to 2 seconds over Alan Mystique, who's going defensive to Mika Kessad in 3rd in the amateur championships at the moment.
Yeah, the Amateur Championship spicing up right now. Mika closing that gap on Mystic ahead, and Mystic is falling away from David Chadwick. Chadwick, he's getting a good tow from Paul Kolashaw in 10th place in the pros. And, well, 2.3 seconds stretched out on Mystic. Mystic didn't have the fastest lap as they are in a battle with Mika right behind him. And Mika, he's going to be taking any opportunity he can to close in on that Mystic Turtles Gaming's 171 Mercedes GT3, but he took a very wide line through the loop and almost went onto the gravel, and he's going to be being caught up by Flanagan right behind him.
Yeah, we can see it. I mean, these two are doing probably exactly the wrong thing to try and close up the gap to David Chadwick out in front. As we can see the lead just stretching out further to 2.4, 2.5 seconds with these two fighting. But Mika's putting Alan under all sorts of pressure at the moment. We're seeing Alan go extremely defensive, which is giving the opportunity to Dave Chadwick in front to be able to stretch his lead in the Amateur Championship. So these guys should really be working together to bridge that 2.7 gap now up to the leader of Dave Chadwick. But they're having a little bit of a fight out on track, and as we can see as well that Keith McGrath, oh, he's 4 seconds behind, so we've got a long way to go, but does have a couple of pro drivers in front of him that he can use for a bit of slipstreaming. But certainly this is the hottest battle at the moment, is that P2 in on track between Mystic and Mika.
McGrath is 4 seconds behind this fight, so he's got a lot of he lost a lot of time somewhere out there as Flanagan is trying to get past well, Flanagan is trying to defend from Bree in that Ferrari versus BMW fight, as well, they're trying to chase down our amateur drivers, the second and third right here. And Timothy Bree, we saw Timothy had that little incident in practice when they started on him in Luffield. And one of our only BMWs, it absolutely dwarfs the competition in size. So if you get a BMW in front of you, you're going to be in good waters, because that BMW gets off a big draft. And, but that BMW is in the background. Coy McGrath now has had a spin coming out of Abbey heading into farm.
Yeah, so both of them McGraths getting caught in that turn there after Village, I think it was. So, yeah, he was 4 seconds behind to be considerably more than that, and has actually gone down to... Yeah, he's...
Well, it's just a little bit too wide. Carry the speed, and almost gets collected by,
Lucky.
I think that was Dan Carter or Phil Reagan, who just narrowly avoided him, as this is Glover versus Nunderson, and Glover on that inside as Matthew Nunson goes very wide off the entry into Luffield, but it'll be getting a very good exit as Matthew, home of one of the strangest driver photos I've ever seen. I think that is 20 toes I see right there.
It certainly is, but the only Porsche driver actually in the field, so very brave of Matthew to be driving the Porsche, considering how much it's probably been nerfed by iRacing. I think they completely ruined it.
Actually, there was an update released to the Porsche yesterday. It increased the rear downforce stability of the car. So in a higher speed situation, the rear downforce is improved for the Porsche now. So, you know, expecting that to get a lot better, as we have a great side-by-side fight between teammates, I believe, of Crater and Richardson going side-by-side, coming out of Stowe and then heading through Vale. Actually, I think they're teammates. I am not sure.
Yes, they are indeed. They are from RPM Racing, yes. So the teammates went side by side through Abbey there, which is probably not the optimal thing to do to make sure that you keep the speed up, but the teammates are fighting it out. So clearly no team orders in that team. It's every man for themselves, as you might see him duck out here coming down Wellington straight into Brooklands, but keeping it nice and clean at the moment are the teammates, with Richardson being the rear gunner through Rista, that's just behind him in 8th place to the team.
Yeah, Scott, we saw what happened to him earlier on in this race, and we know how Scott can get a little bit feisty He knows he has the speed. He's just got to make sure on when he goes for it. None of our drivers heading into the pits just yet, but we're closing in on 20 minutes to go with a 60% fuel tank limitation. I would say that would be the opening of our pit stop window in this 1 hour long race here at Silverstone. So we're going to start seeing some drivers attempt an undercut here and try to get it into some clean air, and if they are stuck in a little bit of a draft train. And you know, around Silverstone, I would say you would want to stay in the draft, but if it's getting to a point where the group in front of you is pulling away and you can't be, and you're unable to be making moves, we won't be seeing anybody head into the pits on their own unless it is a coordinated pit stop with a teammate, so you two can draft each other and try to get that overtake. And you know, these two RPM drivers might be thinking about a earlier pit stop.
Yeah, is the early pit stop going to be the advantage, or is the longer pit stop? I mean, this is probably one of the longest circuits on the calendar. Obviously, it's over nearly a 2-minute lap time around here, around Silverstone. So, you know, maybe fuel saving is coming into play a little bit, just to eke out that extra lap for them guys that are trying to go as far as they can in this race, to obviously limit the amount of fuel that goes into the car on the pit stop, to try and keep their pit stop down to an absolute minimum. So maybe the teammates are just trying to draft a little bit to save that extra lap of fuel around here at Silverstone. But it's going to be interesting in the round when the pit stops come in, and see who's the biggest winners and losers as we watch Steve Brown from Indy Autosport coming through the pits. Did he actually stop?
No, he didn't. There was, yeah, he just drove through the pit lane for Stephen Brown, which is highly peculiar.
Certainly is, but
he might have had. I don't even think he would have an incident point. He definitely wouldn't have hit the incident point limit by now. It's only been 10 laps for him.
I mean, if you start playing ping pong with other cars, you soon rack up them incident points. As we watch the teammates going side by side now, coming down into Stowe. So maybe a change of position to give.
It's the RPM teammates.
Right,
still just having a little bit of fun with each other.
Yeah, just a change of positions to share out the fuel saving between the two teammates, maybe.
Yeah, they're looking like a very coordinated team. I'm not going to be mentioning the series where that they were just literally swapping with each other throughout today's race, but very coordinated team effort. And up at front, they're going to be, I would say, main contenders for a good race result, especially if they can keep up this pace and teamwork throughout the season. Though, speaking of pace and teamwork, that'll be the gentleman at the front, Rolek and Lawrence Oatsring, and Koana Racing guys sitting 1-2. They're no longer right next to each other like the RPM guys, but the RPM guys, hey, they're definitely giving us the entertainment heading into Brooklyn's down to the inside. Alex Trader retake 6, plays for Nathan Richardson. If I was Scott Rice here, I would just be like, okay, y'all are getting a little bit too feisty with each other. I should probably, you should probably be looking to make a move, but with them having this good fight between each other, I would just let them have it. Just save some fuel and, you know, try to beat them in the pit stops. You know, if you have more fuel than the other car in front of you and you pit at the same time, that's the less amount of fuel you have to put in the car and the less amount of time you have to be stopped stationary.
Yeah, it is. I'm just looking at the lap times of the cars in the last lap. The front four are actually considerably faster than these two teammates that we were watching. So they just need to watch that they don't get too far caught adrift from the top of the standings, or else it'll be a lonely race. But Rista just obviously just tucking in behind the two teammates, just in a little bit of draft. But we're back on board with the very bright orange Ferrari of Paul Collishaw there in P10th. Just looking at the back of Chris Gooch's Mercedes in the other, is that the other Mystic Turtles car? The one that you very much like. It is a cool livery.
It is. Hey, purple's a nice color. Turtles are awesome. And yeah, the chrome.
Ooh. So I've just been looking at the YouTube channel, and the actual incident limit is only 15 and for the first drive-through, and then 6 after that. So relatively low incident level for an hour-long race. So that may well have been a drive-through penalty for Stephen Brown. Obviously, he's now on. Oh yes.
Odams. This is Odams. Robert Odams in the Audi heading into the pit lane. The Silverstone pit lane speed limit is pretty slow compared to the actual thing. The thing is, though, the start-finish line comes sooner in the pit lane, and so
it's a drive-through. It's another drive-through.
This is a drive-through. Yeah, it's our second drive-through we're seeing of the day. So drivers easily getting drive-throughs right now. The second drive-through, the first one being served by Stephen Brown, the second one being by Robert Odams. And, you know, you could get 4X here and there. GT cars are not really honed to the 0X chaos that is touring car racing. And it's very easy just to, you know, get a 1X here and there, especially around Silverstone. I think I've had the 1Xs around Cops Corner the most. Just go a little bit out wide, carrying a little bit too much speed. And then Maggotts Beckett's Chapel, that's also a hot spot for 1Xs and stuff.
And Stowe, coming out the exit of Stowe, that's always a pride space. As we watch Paul Collishaw just put it up the inside there of Chris Gooch to take over 9th place. Yeah. That was relatively good. So
here's Gooch, though. Gooch is setting himself up for the outside. If you put yourself up for a good move on the outside, you'll be on the inside for the upcoming corner, though. In this situation, that did not happen. And in the overall race, what are we seeing? Most drivers attempt that. The only times we'll be seeing that are, well, in the closing 5 minutes or the closing 5 laps of a race, and the opportunity is right there. I've certainly seen some single-seater action go insanely well right there, and unfortunately insanely wrong. Speaking of going wrong at Stowe, Coy McGrath once again around at Stowe, and I think this is Coy heading into the pit lane.
No, he's
not staying out. But he's right ahead of Doherty. One car just went flying into the pits. That's Alex Peck.
Yeah, definitely is. Going in, is this actually a pit stop? It is into the realms of the pit stop. Yeah, we see Alex just moving over to
that
the
inside
right.
line. Yeah, this is our first pit stop. Alex J. Peck, well, second pit stop. Our first pit stop was by Kohler and that big incident that he had, but this is our first pit for fuel with 26 minutes down, so I'm expecting we're going to be seeing pit stops start to happen. And I believe, Andy, this will be the right amount of time to be shouting out everybody over at Asetek SimSports.
Yeah, it definitely is. And just looking at for the round of pit stops to see all the wonderful products that SimSports can offer for you.
And, well, I've said the pit stops are going to happen, and they certainly happen right there. We were going to cut the commercial, but our leaders headed to the pit stops, as well as second place, third place, fifth place, fourth place, sixth place, seventh place, eighth place. Well, actually, speaking of eighth place, Reister is not in the pits. Reister is staying out there, and he's going to be trying to pull out the overcut and gain a few spots with the pit stop chaos, because the entry into the Silverstone pits, well, it is flanked by grass on both sides. And you could have a little bit of a jargon up pit stop at times. Gooch is coming into the pits, and actually Gooch, it seemed like he was a little bit lost in the pits, unable to find where he was needed to go with these GT3 cars, unable to be seen. Stuff that is a car ahead, actually missing their box and having to reverse as Scott Reister leads out there. But our leading group out of the pits, it is Tim Rolek leading out, and Gannon in third place. Reagan is in third. Reagan is leading the AMs out of the pits. Glover is down into second. Hopkins is in third. Chadwick is down into sixth on pit exit. So pit stops going absolutely crazy. And you wonder what I think? I think some drivers forgot to uncheck tires.
I mean, it certainly looks like it. I'm looking at the pit stop times, and the Cohen Racing Team, 34 and 33 seconds respectively, but the rest of the field only doing about 25 seconds. So that's why we're not seeing the two Cohen Gaming teammates, Tim and Lorenz, coming out in first and second. So they must have took some tyres there, because there will be a lot of wear on these GT cars, and with the new model of these tyres, it's seeing a lot of wear on certain tyres through races. So maybe doing the right thing, taking them extra tyres of the wear to be able to be faster in the second half of the race, but certainly gave up the positions there. Scott Riston now in the pit lane, so it'd be interesting to see where he comes out having that extra fuel, just sitting behind the two RPM team racing teammates for the majority of that first stint. So let's see where Scott comes out after his pit stop.
Yeah, Reister, though, it was about 24 seconds gap to Tim right there, but the total pit lap time is about 50 seconds that we are expecting in there. So this is going to be Reister falling a little bit. Reagan, he did not go into the pits to start off right there. So this is Rolex and Gannon as they continue on through Abby, and this shall sort our incidents out. Our entire pit stop cycle is done as we are halfway through this race, and I think now is the time to go thank our sponsors over at Asetek SimSports. And welcome back to the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here at Silverstone. We joined at the end of the pit stop cycle as Adam Hedgecock battling side by side with the 42 Scott Reister. Reister went into the pits this lap and tried to pull off the overcut, and he's actually done it. He went from 8th place all the way up to 5th place. What a pit stop cycle for Reister, and he's sitting up in 5th place ahead of the car that was originally behind him when he spun. Reister and Hedgecock, remember this? Hedgecock was stuck behind Reister when Reister was in that incident, and Hedgecock had to take massive avoidance right there, but Reister is now back ahead of Adam Hedgecock, and Hedgecock has got a world of hurt behind him. Crater and Richardson of the RPM Racing Team, they love to scrap, and coming down the Hanger straightaway. Crater's found the window down to the inside, and he's going to be looking into Stowe. Crater on Hedgecock into Stowe, and Crater's cleared him heading into the corner. Alex Crater, and right behind him, Richardson and Hedgecock getting into each other. Here comes Hedgecock looking down to the inside at the chicane, and they're having an absolute ball right here for 6th place.
Yeah, Richardson there just putting a lot of pressure over Hedgecock. Hedgecock put slightly out of position coming into Vale by his teammate in front of him, trying to get the opportunity to get the pass done at the same time, but not able to get it done there. But it's putting that Ferrari under all sorts of pressure, and it's probably the furthest the two teammates been there. It just looks down on the inside of Village, not quite getting it done. Hedgecock just managing to keep that Ferrari in front of the Mercedes, but that Mercedes in a straight line is an extremely fast car. With that slipstream, I think it's writing on the wall for Hedgecock at the moment, coming down here in Wellington Straight, and maybe a passing move here as we see Richardson just going to the inside, coming down here into Brooklands, not quite getting it done. The Ferrari still got that inside line coming around Luffield, so it's still going to be status quo, but losing a lot of time to his teammate in 6th place at the moment is Richardson.
Yeah, two big GT3 cars are definitely going to be slower than one pulling away as they continue this fight, and that Mercedes is just filling the mirrors of that Ferrari as they fly through Cobb's Corner using all the curbing on the outside. Here comes Richardson. Richardson just going to be filling the mirrors. Next big chance for Richardson would be at the end of Hanger Straight and Stowe, where we saw Hedgecock fall to Crater And, well, that's a bad exit out of Chapel. Understeering through there. This is going to be done even before they get to the bridge right there. Hedgecock, he's going to be defending onto the inside. He's left a little bit of a window opportunity right there for Richardson, but Richardson is going to go all the way around the outside. He's got the car ahead heading into Stowe, and that is there. That's a little bit deep right there on the brakes by Hedgecock. He goes a little bit wide, but around the outside, Nathan Richardson goes on, and we have a change for the amateur championship lead. Chadwick regains the lead as Mika falls down. Mika was leading, and this is coming out of Maggotts, Beggis, and Chapel. It looks like Mika got wide at Chapel, got into the grass, and went hurling towards the wall and out of the lead.
Yeah, it definitely is, and he's just plummeting down the amateur order, currently in P7, so that little mistake has been very costly as we have a look at a replay of him. So coming around, Maggotts and Beckett, what's he do? Does he hit?
He just goes wide.
Hits the grass.
There's the grass right there. Goes around, almost gets collected by, I think that was the uptime car of Timothy Bree. And he falls to David Chadwick, and Chadwick regains the lead. He had a great pit stop, but Mika, I think, serving a drive-through penalty now because there's no damage. And then, you know, salt into the wound, lemon juice to the eye, jalapeno peppers anywhere on the body after you prepared it. That's just injury.
So pretty bad then, yeah. Pretty bad then, yeah. I mean, a lot of the cars now seem to be getting up to that max limit. So that's about the third driver we've seen do a drive-through penalty. So this Silverstone's course causing these GT3 cars to get a lot of incidents out on track. And obviously we saw Mika there just getting it slightly wrong through Maggotts and Beckett coming out onto Chapel. And not only did he spin and lose about 5 places in the AM Championship, to add to his woes, he actually got a drive-through penalty for exceeding the incident limit. So after that, he's only got 6 more, and then he'll get another drive-through penalty. So a lot of tentative driving is going to have to start coming into play with probably quite a few of these drivers, because I'd imagine a lot would be around about the incident level limit.
Yeah, a lot will definitely be around there, especially the AM drivers, as they seem to get a little bit rough and tumble. As David Chadwick, our AM championship leader, it looked like he lost the lead. He did lose the lead through the pit stop cycle. I think, no, he did not have that bad of a pit stop cycle. I think he was the driver that missed the pit stop.
He was, yes. He had to reverse back into his pit, so that's where he lost the pit stop. So big shout out to you, Dave, for missing your pit stop. There you go.
I wouldn't say that's a shout out. It would more be like a mention of why he fell down to second place, because he was in the lead by quite a bit of a margin, about 3 seconds heading into the pit stops, and he left 2 seconds coming out of the pit stops in second place. But he is behind the 78 of Flanagan and Timothy Bree right in front of him. And with him just in the lead, second place of Reagan is, I would say, cumulatively about 11 seconds.
11 seconds? Yeah, 11.8 seconds, yeah.
Or 20-something. It's very far
11.8.
Well, the thing is, that is additive. This is the interval, so that is between the cars. It's 11 seconds to Carter, then it's apparently 11 seconds to Carter from... Oh, wait, no. We are looking at flat...
I've changed how it is. 11.3, yes.
Okay.
It is.
It is 11.6.
Still a sizable lead.
This is between classes.
It is indeed. So still a sizable lead for Dave Chadwick, who is on the back of Dave Flanagan, so should get a nice tow from the pro driver in front. So a great day at the office for Dave, apart from his unfortunate pit stop strategy, but we won't mention that anymore. But quite easily to have been done, because literally every single car, bar 2, came in on the same lap, so quite easy to probably miss your stall with all the cars in front of you blocking your man with the pole.
Yeah, the new feature on iRacing is the baseline iRacing spotter pack. Counts down to where your pit stop is. Heading into the pits, they will start counting down. Pit stop in 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right here.
You passed.
And it's right there. It works every time. And even in blind situations, if you don't know where your pit stop is, It really helps, especially in a very busy pit lane, either in GT3s, stock car racing, touring car racing, and endurance series, or you know, just messing around with your friends and you got a little bit of damage in a free practice and you have no idea where your pit is.
Yeah, definitely. As we're watching the battle here for second place overall, Paul Gannon, who's had maybe a controversial first stint of the thing, but certainly made up for it in the pit stop, jumping Lorenzo Hussing there in third place. But we believe that maybe the two teammates from Koan Gaming possibly changed some tyres, and that will certainly come to the advantage in this closing stages of this race, having that advantage of better grip and better acceleration out of the corners. So it looks at the moment that Paul Gannon is under a lot of pressure from the third place Lorenzo guy coming up into Stowe here on lap number 20.
Yeah, he is looking at a advantage with those new tires at the rear. Really slowed them down in the pit stop, but it definitely helped them out coming out of corners, because they'll be having the fresh rubber at the rear, which will be able to get the traction out. The thing is, though, half the race spent on, it depends on which tires they took. If I was them, I'd be changing the rear tires, just the rear tires to get the grip coming out of the corners, but also might have changed front tires as well to give them the grip through the corners and not about the aces, because Silverstone, very famous for long sweeping corners, and those are torturous to tires, especially Pirellis.
As we see there, the classic overstretch coming through Stowe from David Flanagan, so that would have been another 1x that he would have picked up for that corner going extremely wide on the exit. So these incident levels are going to maybe put a little bit of spice towards the end of this race with the top half of the grid. So keep an eye out for drivers going through the pits on drive-through penalties. But we're looking at Timothy Bree just leading out this field of 4 cars at the moment in the BMW. Oh, it's the Ferrari there of Flanagan just tries to look down his inside coming into that corner, but thinking better of it and slightly backs out, loses a little bit of ground as David too. Timothy in front of him in the BMW, but these 4 cars locked in a battle for that 11th position.
Yeah, this fight is looking very good. Chadwick at the back of it. The BMW behind him is actually Kohler. It is not Carter behind him. It is Kohler.
Third place starter, and obviously you had the incident coming around the corner with just viewing the cars going around, so very much on a recovery drive as we go back to second place in the Matthew Knutson in the Porsche, and probably did need that update like you were mentioning, Austin, because they really put paid to that Porsche. You know, going around the corner, it was like a sick dog. It was horrible to drive, and it's good to see that they found the errors of their ways and put a little bit back into the Porsche, because it was a hot favourite for drivers, but certainly had gone out. So maybe this update will bring people back into the Porsche, because we didn't get very many, and maybe take them out of the Mercedes that we're seeing dominating a lot of the GT3 races recently.
Yeah, the Mercedes. Speaking of Mercedes, Alan Mystic diving into Stowe. Well, he dove in there and he slid right out. I think he actually lost the position from that move.
Certainly did. Went in a little bit too hot. Thought he could get the car stopped, but you know, tires really coming into play at the moment. He literally could not get that car stopped. Went out extremely wide, and then just let Glover take that 4th place off him. So has it all to do again? Does Alan Mystic in that Mystic Turtles in P5?
Yeah, Alan Mystic now 171, falling away from Glover and Reagan after that little bit of a mistake. Definitely going to be thinking about how he's going to be attacking that corner throughout the day. We have 18 minutes remaining. Actually, nope. It will be 16 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here at Silverstone. And that is about 8 laps remaining here for Rolek in the lead, Gannon in second, and Hortzring in third place. Chadwick leading out the field massively in the AMPS Championships. These leaders are definitely just going to be thinking about one thing, keeping the cars safe, as we have seen a few drivers do a few drive-through penalties right there. And those drivers that have done those drive-through penalties, well, that just brought them back all the way down the field pretty much. But it's the German in the lead and the Canadian in the lead of the AMPS Championship, as the German is leading out the Pro Championships. The Quanta Gaming car of Tim Rolek, the number 22. He started in first, entered the pits first, and exited the pits in first. And, well, he's in first.
Yes, pretty
but
much.
We do have a fight for second place. Lawrence Horing and Patrick Gannon are closing in on each other, and there is Lawrence. Lawrence did have a longer pit stop, a much longer pit stop, and our running theory is he did put on new tires. And Patrick Gannon just did fuel and go, and that's what gave him the gap right there. Gannon and the RPM Motorsports team, they were in a nose-to-tail fight before the pit stop with each other, and they were fighting for about, I believe, 5th place with each other. And you know, that was a very good pit stop for Patrick and the RPM team.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, he literally leapfrogged Orenzing in to second place, but he's all over the back of Paul Gannon at the moment. And you would expect to get him done as long as he can get a really good exit out of this chapel coming down here into Hanger Straight. You would expect him to make a good move going down into Stowe, but seems to be losing a little bit off the back of that Mercedes. Will close up the gap, as these cars are all the same setup, so it does have the advantage of the slipstream, but struggling at the moment to try and make that passing move on Paul Gannon and his teammates, who he was very much with at that pit stop cycle, is pretty much having an easy race up front, and Lorenzo's just trying to make sure that he gets a 1-2 for the team in this first round. But Paul Gannon is that thorn in the side of the team at the moment, and he's doing an excellent defensive job of keeping Lorenzo just behind him in third place.
Well, we see what Paul Gannon has been doing most of this race. He's been involved in fights with his teammate. He was defending, he was attacking, defending and attacking, and having a good old ball. And, you know, I think he's just comfortable with, you know, getting a little bit of fisticuffs right now, as Lawrence taking a little bit wider line, heading through the loop, trying to get a better run through the Wellington straightaway, as down the straight they go, heading into Brooklands. And this is the fight for second place in our pros, as well, this is actually the only fight for our A-class podium going on right now. As a little bit of mistake, it seems like the place that Gannon is struggling is coming out of Brooklands and into Woodcott, as the Luffield, as they go into a little bit too hot, and it's just getting the cars, the brakes and tires a little bit too overheated, and can't get the car to slow down a lot, because it's a very aggressive spot to slow down on, and I think it's the most time spent on the brakes on the circuit.
I think so. I think you're exactly right there. And this is really the window where, if our initial thought was right with Renzi taking tyres, this will be where he will get the match.
Oh, in the grass!
Oh, he managed to save that. Managed to lose not too much time, still keeping in the slipstream, but a bit of a hair racing moment.
Well, he's got a slowdown penalty now. If you cut that corner, it's a slowdown penalty. So Lorenz, he was making a charge on Patrick Gannon, gets a slowdown penalty, and he is out of that fight 2 seconds behind Patrick Gannon right there. Luckily, did not cross over that incident limit, because it seems like everybody here is flirting with disaster with an incident or not, because that incident limit is so low at 15.
Yeah, it'd be interesting now to see if Lorenz can actually get back onto the back of Paul Gannon to be able to fight in this last 12 minutes of this hour-long race. He should be able to, if he has, our hypothesis was correct that he did change tyres, because the tyres on Paul Gannon's car will be screaming at him, and he'll be a lot slower going into corners and exits. So it'd be interesting to see now whether Lorenzo can actually close it back up.
Look, he's gained an entire 10th in that sector right there, and he's gained 2 tenths in sector 2. So Lawrence has the pace. The tires are definitely showing their pace right there, because he is catching up to gain it hand over fist, a tenth a sector, pretty much 2 tenths per 2 sectors, and honestly, it might be 3 tenths in sector 3 as they continue on right here, and they're closing in on the end of sector 3 right now. As they're coming across into Cop's corner very soon. Gannett and Hotzring, that gap is just 1.1 seconds right now. It was 1.9 at the start of this lap, and it's 300ths gained right there. So Hotzring closing in a lot throughout this lap, but is it too little too late after that mistake? And will he be just a little bit cautious heading through Chapel each time now, because 10 minutes to go, and Rolex just came across the line.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the biggest place you'll see the advantage of that tyres is coming down the Wellington Straight, coming into Brooklands and coming out of Luffield down into Woodcott and through Cops. That's where we'll see the biggest gain, and we can see on the sector gains as well. That's the time that we've got the biggest gain on for Lorenzo in 3rd place at the moment, only 1.1 seconds behind him. So we're soon getting into that slipstream, so we'll have the added benefit of the slipstream. But you can certainly see the 2 lines that the drivers are taking. You can see that Patrick's got a little bit more slidey coming out of corners, whereas you can see Lorenzo's car a little bit more planted coming out of the exits, and that's the advantage of taking tyres. Certainly 1 or 2 tyres, certainly if you've done your homework, you will know what tyres would need changing after the stint, because with the new tyre model in the GT3 class, they really do start to wear in these hour-long races.
Hello. As this is Flanagan holding it around the outside, defending from Timothy Bree at that chicane right there. And, you know, this is a great stinking fight right there. 3-car fight. The car in the back is Leon Kohler. We saw have that incident earlier on in this race at Cop's Corner. I think he's just enjoying the show right there, not wanting to be a part of it at all, as just enjoying David Chadwick, our Amsterdam Championship driver, get a little feisty with the pros with Bree and Flanagan.
Yeah, he's doing a cracking job at the moment, 13.4 seconds ahead of his nearest rival. So pretty much got this job secured, but is not quite happy with just that 13th place. Wants to really mix it up, as we can see him just trying to put his nose out there coming down the Wellington Straight to just let Timothy Bree know that he's...
Kohler is right behind him. Leon Kohler spins it behind him. I think he was just trying to enjoy the fun right there, as we saw a purple lap time for one of the McGraths pop up right there, putting in a new fastest lap for the Amsterdam Championship. It was Coy McGrath in a 158.23 new fast lap for the AM Championship driver, as these three having a little bit of fun. Very late early move heading into Maggots Beckett's right now. Chadwick and Bree side by side, but Bree with that outside lunge went from the outside to set himself up for the inside, and the inside line through Maggots right there, and absolutely got that right there. But he's definitely under pressure from that Mercedes. Fake to the outside, selling in the dummy, going down to the inside, heading into so once again it's a wide setup for Bree. Bree had the pace and the position around the outside already, and with that launch he's going to be going again. And Chadwick, is he going to look down to the inside this time by? No, he is not. 8 minutes though. Bree goes a little bit deep heading into the corner. That's going to be, oh, that's a very bad line for Bree. We saw Chadwick get onto the brakes to avoid getting into the back of Bree right there, as they get back onto the throttle right now, looking down to the inside, heading to Abby. That is a dangerous move. He's really want to go right there, but hey, sometimes you got to go for it. You got to go for it. And Chadwick, you know, his closest fight is 12 seconds behind him, so he's just having a little bit of fun out there with 8 minutes remaining right now. 4 laps, maybe 5 laps remaining on the docket, but I think this might go into 4 laps to go, as David and Bree, you see the difference in braking styles right now. Bree, I think, is looking all over his mirrors, then the track, as David is being a little bit of a hassle right now.
He certainly is, and the other David Flanagan in front is capitalising on the pressure that Dave Chadwick is putting on Timothy Bree. He's just making a little bit of a gap now between himself and the pro driver behind him, Timothy Bree. But Dave Chadwick doing an exceptional job here, just putting so much pressure over Timothy Bree, and you can see the pressure coming off, because Timothy's getting some unorthodox lines that's really compromising his speed, and just unfortunate that on the exit of the corners that Chadwick
this
can't
is
catch
a
up. This could be it.
This is a run for Cops. Bree goes a little bit wide through Cops, and Chadwick down to the inside. David Chadwick overtakes a pro right there for 12th place overall. David Chadwick, well, he certainly sent it right there. I think it's overall Arching Team Friday Sports are going to be enjoying that one.
It's certainly lived up to the team name there, centre in there on Timothy Bree, coming very brave, coming through Maggots and Beckett's. You know, he's putting it all on the line, considering he is obviously leading that amateur championship at the moment. Doesn't really need to be fighting with Timothy Bree, but as he had him in his sights, and the power of that Mercedes has certainly come into force over the BMW and put Timothy Bree under all sorts of pressure there, and pretty much buckled, and Dave Chadwick's just on fire today.
Yeah, it is, and Chadwick, you know, I think he's going to be happy. I think it's just like, you know, I want to finish in front of a pro. He had that bad start at the start of this race where the pros certainly swamped him right there, but he showed them in the long run that, you know, it's mostly about how you manage your tires throughout this race. Speaking of managing your tires throughout this race, 5 minutes to go. Gannon is still in second place ahead of Rollins, ahead of Lawrence in third place in that fight for second, as we're looking at Tim Rolek in that leading Mercedes, who has been, well, dominating. 6 seconds in the lead. And, Kenneth McGrath spinning. Well, he's caught it right there, but that is heading out of the loop.
It is indeed. That's the second time today the Mercedes driver of Team Snowmen. Certainly a little bit of ice on them tyres, living up to the team name there, coming out of the complex, coming through Aintree there, spinning it a little bit. Oh, and it looks like he's doing it again. Them tyres looks like they've gone in that Mercedes, literally all over the road at the moment, is Kenneth. So he's got to be hopeful that he can actually keep that 6th place in class at the just kind of with Corey McGrath is not that far behind.
Yeah, Corey could catch him, and it could be McGrath on McGrath. And honestly, we're going to have to go from first initials 2 times. Corey! Oh, one McGrath spins, the other one spins right there, but this time the Cops corner Coy McGrath. Oh, that is a unfortunate spin right there, and obviously in a more faster spot, dangerous spot right there, because it's a blind corner, and he could have gotten collected. Luckily, Hawkins and Doherty were farther behind him than they were right now, but that is so unfortunate for Coy McGrath right there.
Yeah, had an ideal opportunity with the tyres. Certainly look like they're going on the other McGrath's car in front of the Mercedes, but whatever.
And Kenneth has got a drive-through penalty from that incident. And honestly, I think with that incident, I think Coy might have a drive-through penalty as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see now, because does he come in? No, he does not. So
he does not. So Coy in the Audi after that spin will be gaining a position from there, or closing down on Kenneth as both of McGraths make a mistake in different cars and teams. McGrath comes out of the pits as McGrath is closing in on him, coming out of the pits right there. There's McGrath, and looking at the gap to McGrath, it is 3.5 seconds to McGrath from McGrath.
Oh, classic.
I'm going to have fun with this throughout the season. I already know.
Pretty sure you are, but I mean, it just shows you that pit lane in Silverstone is actually quite short as we watch the battle here. Dave Chadwick is not
He's got up to Flanagan.
Yep, he is not
He's
done
not Flanagan, ran away from Chadwick and Bree, but no, Chadwick ran away from Bree. Bree was just falling off the pace right there in the closing minutes of the race. 2 minutes to go right now. And, you know, we got 2 laps to go, because our leader came across the line already. And David Chadwick, well, he's looking for a 11th position overall, heading into Stowe right now. 2 laps to go, and that Ferrari is looking tasty to that beast of a Mercedes.
It certainly is. I mean, he's just not done, is he? He's like,
no, he's
still
like,
want to get up.
He's like, who's next?
Yeah, Ferrari, I'll have some of that, thank you very much. But no, he's just driven the car really
And
well
also,
today.
speaking of having some of that, Hornsring and Gaydon are separated by 2/10 now
Yeah, definitely is.
in
as
the
we were
fight for
saying.
second place.
I mean, he had 12 minutes to go, so he had the opportunity to gain back up, and he was gaining
It's
on
1
him.
minute
and,
now.
It is 1 minute now, so it's literally a last shootout. So he's got right onto the back of him. Should get the slipstream coming down the hanger straight to close that gap even more. So it is literally going to be a last lap shootout for the second place on the podium between these two, Paul Gannon and Lorenzo Hodsring there in third place out on track. So he's got it all to do, but Paul Gannon at the moment, you know, super good at the defensive side. So it's going to be a real ambitious move, I think, for Lorenzo to try and take that second place from Paul Gannon, I think.
Yeah, Hotsring definitely closed up that gap. It was a 2-second gap. New fast lap of the race for our leaders, and it's white flag in the air here at Silverstone and the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here for round 1. White flag is in the air. Last lap, 1 lap to go right now as Gannon under pressure by Hotsring. Hotsring, now is the time to, well, close in the gap and then close in on Gannon right there. And he has closed in very hard. Gannon hit the curb on the inside, and Lawrence looking onto the inside at the loop right now. He's getting the pace. He's getting a little bit of run. The back end getting a little bit squirrely right there. It's Mercedes power on Mercedes, and they are side by side heading onto the Wellington straight. It's Gannon with a nose ahead. He had the round around the outside, but now down to the inside. Here comes Lorenz. Lorenz going to have to run into Brooklyn. Lorenz goes a little bit deep on the brakes right there, and he's got the lead momentarily as going extremely wide is Gannon. Looking down to the inside of Lorenz right there, heading as they come out of Brooklyn's and heading into Woodcott. Gannon's going to be stuck onto the inside. Lawrence around to the outside. He's going to be getting the run there side by side down the old start, finish straight, and heading down into Cops Corner. Gannon's got his nose right there. They're going to be side by side through Cops, and they make contact at Cops. They make contact at Cops going extremely fast, and here comes the Ferrari of a laps car right there. They're going to get into the mess right now. Actually, they're going to get on to race the 32 of Chris Van Den Ness. The Dutchman is right there. It's a 3-car fight for second place. Hornsring's got a gap on Gannon. Gannon right behind him, and then there's Ness right behind them as well. Ness is in the thing. Ness is flashing the light saying, "You turn in on me right there, man. I'm not going to be having that." And it's honestly a Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen thing at Cops Corner between these two drivers, and you can tell Patrick Gannon is definitely not happy about that. And what would be even worse if one of the drivers got a drive-through penalty for that. And here comes Ness. Ness looking down to the inside at momentarily, and then Gannon had to defend down to the inside. Ness trying to look for the outside, get the better exit right there, but it's going to be Lawrence getting second place, Gannon in third, Ness in fourth. But I think Gannon and Horens are going to be fighting at the end of this championship. At the end of the day, the steward's going to be very busy because Cops Corner incident. Gannon was ahead. Lawrence was ahead of Gannon, but Gannon's nose was still in there, and I think there just wasn't room left. The only way to know for sure what happened was to look at a replay. But David Chadwick, I know for sure, without any doubt, will be coming home with the amateur win today by a dominated performance. David Chadwick had a little bit of a iffy moment in the pit lane, but David Chadwick absolutely takes that win in the AMS Championship, as well as Tim Rolek.
I mean, he's just done a brilliant drive as Dave Chadwick in the amateur class. Same with Tim Rolek in the front. He's pretty much, we haven't even really concentrated on at all being the dominance that he had in the race. That race there was for that second place. Was quite fortunate that Hodsring and Gannon did manage to not spin the cars there coming through Cops Corner, coming in there. But that may have been that Gannon just leaned on Hodsring a little bit and come slightly, like you said, a Hamilton sort of a Verstappen moment going there, but they were very fortunate that they didn't spin the car, managing to get on in front of Chris Van Den Ness, who had a pretty much quiet race himself there in fourth place in no man's land, but right at the end nearly got the opportunity to get that second step on the podium.
Yeah, that fight for second was very heated right there. as everybody's coming across the line. And I believe we just had our last driver come across the line, Glenn Hopkins, in 7th place in the AMs.
So then Alan Mystique had a great start to race, but showing that he's out. I'm not sure what happened there.
He's been
Unless
into the
he
pits
exited?
twice. I think he might have tried to finish in the pit lane and do a drive-through penalty.
I think we'll get a time penalty for that if that is the case. But what an entertaining first round.
Yeah, first round of the season is in the books. For Tim and the Koana gaming car, he took the win, and it seemed like a pretty easy day. And he's already looking forward towards the next round in 2 weeks' time. He takes the win ahead of Lorenz Holtzring and Patrick Gannon, who I think are still fighting with each other. And they're going to be very entertaining to see what happens after this race. Patrick Gannon and Lorenz Holtzring in 2nd and 3rd. Chris Van Ness almost came home with a surprise podium, followed by Scott Reister, Alex Trader, Nathan Richardson, Adam Hedgecock, Paul Coleshaw, Chris Gooch, David Flanagan, Timothy Bree, Dan Carter, and Leon Kohler at the end of our Pro Championship. And I'm going to let you take our AM Championship results.
Yeah, so a dominating performance for the first round for David Chadwick, around about 12.5 seconds ahead of 2nd place, Matthew Goodson there, Baron Glover in 3rd, Phil Regan in 4th, Mika Getreis, well, obviously just fighting hard for 2nd place, but unfortunately getting caught by the pesky incident level there, finishing in 5th place. Kenneth McGrath in 6th, Glenn Hopkins 7th, Darren Doherty in 8th, Corey McGrath in 9th, Alex J. Peck in 10th, Alan Mystique in 11th, Stephen Brown in 12th, Robin Old Adams in 13th, with Jonathan Oscardo in 14th. So yeah, great day for the winners, Dave Chadwick and Tim Rockel, and yeah, the fight was certainly for the 2nd place in that pro overall.
Yeah, the fight was there, but I think one of our drivers that was in the pros would certainly have it. As we got a replay of that fight again before we go to our interviews right there, and this is just beautiful to watch. This was just so tightly fought coming out of Woodcott right here. It's a drag race down the old straightaway. The old front straight, and you can see Lawrence is ahead by a nose, but is he heading in there? I think what just happens is he assumes that Gannon was not going to be on the inside and just took the corner regularly and just squeezed Gannon right there, because Gannon is still alongside. Oh, Gannon goes a little bit later on the brakes, and yeah.
Oh, it's 50-50, isn't it? I mean,
it's 50-50. Gannon kept it onto the inside, unlike Lewis Hamilton, and they kept it going. Thankfully, they both finished this race.
Yeah, and finishing the 2nd and 3rd position, because they both could have lost out to Chris Van Der Ness, as we see in the background there, just gaining up on the time, but managing to just swap positions in that. But I mean, certainly Lorenz had the speed, and we can see obviously had the slight incident about 10 minutes before, got back onto the back of Patrick Gannon and managed to get the passing move done. Whether it was legal or not, we'll leave that one down to the stewards, but great end to the race overall.
It certainly was. Well, we are standing by with someone who doesn't need any doubt on what happened during that race. They started on pole. They led pretty much every lap except for the one where they went into the pit stop. But they led every single lap. The number 22, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Rolek. Tim, how are you feeling after that race?
Yeah, hello everyone. To be honest, it was just a simply race. Just driving alone in front and just do my laps. So it was amazing.
It certainly looked like a very good strategy was in play. You had a bigger gap in the lead to 2nd and 3rd place. Well, 3rd place because your teammate and you did exactly the same thing. You both went into pits, and did you take tires? It was a very longer pit stop than everybody else, about 10 seconds longer.
Yeah. Doing the first stint, I mean, we were looking for tires, just saving a little bit. But in the end of the stint, we was thinking a bit to change tires or not. And then we just thought about, okay, we only change one tire, and that was the front left, which is on this track pretty much the hardest one. So for me was that pretty much easy to gain that with a gap, but for my teammate was a little bit harder. But yeah, that was our strategy.
Well, the strategy definitely paid out right there. You had the pace to take the pole position and the pace to win the race definitely here. And it seemed everything was under control for you from the start, and it's a 1-2 for the team.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
next...
Yeah, to be honest, it was with the track and car was now really, really good. So the combination was really nice.
Well, it's absolutely a fantastic result for you and the team. Next week is next race is in 2 weeks' time, heading over to Donington Park. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, Donington Park is some nice track. For me, I guess a little bit better than Silverstone, because the only public and official races was in GT3 fixed. Donington was really quick there, so yeah. Looking forward to it and yeah, see what we can do on Donington.
All right, well, we're excited to see what you do at Donington on the 16th of July. Before we let you go, to go celebrate with you and the team, anybody you want to thank? I believe they pulled a Kimi Räikkönen and just walked off. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, I didn't hear the question. My mic went off.
Oh, that's unfortunate. We asked anybody you want to thank after this race.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So tomorrow I have no words. I need to realize it at the moment. But we will see what happened in the couple of minutes.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win, Tim, and we'll see you next time on the 16th of July at Donington Park.
Yeah, thank you.
And over to Andy. Andy, I believe you're standing by with
Yeah, we're going to stand by with Kenneth McGrath. So welcome to the booth, Kenneth. Obviously, a bit of a hard day in the office, I think, for yourself. A couple of spins there. Just talk us through the race and just talk us through the tyres with the new model that iRacing have done, because we saw you spin a few times.
Yeah, when I started it out, it felt very slick on the track going through the first couple of laps. Especially onto the right-hander going into the original pitch straight there. Spun there, and I was like, all right, let's just get my head back in the game. Overall, though, the car itself felt absolutely amazing. Just a lot to get used to on the track itself, but otherwise, it was a really good first run for me on Silverstone.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just obviously talk us through the tyres on this. When you get into the last sort of 10 minutes of an hour-long race, how did the car feel? Did it feel really like slidey coming into that? And is that what you sort of spun?
Oh yeah, definitely, yes. The last 10 minutes there was a struggle, especially on when you got to the very slow corners. It did not want to listen to you at all most of the time. So you just kind of had to baby it through, but it was more of coming into that it was interesting to learn on this kind of track, but yeah, I managed to maintain the position for the last part of that race and turned out pretty well with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it seems like a very competitive field at the moment. Where are your expectations for this 5-round season?
Expectations, kind of in the mid-range at the moment. I'm not really into like super competitive, but at the same time, it's great to see like if I can push myself to get into the upper ranks of it. But currently, just seeing how competitive it is and how like there's not much shifts between the races comparative to what I would usually see, outside of league racing. It's really an eye-opener in a way of like there's a lot of these people that are at the same level as you, and it's great competition in the sense of like I can go alongside someone and I don't have to worry about them pushing me off track or something like that. I can actually trust the guy to race solidly. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, obviously 6th place for the first round, so bodes well for the rest of the rounds. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go, Kenneth?
Not really much shout outs. I know my brother's racing here, so shout out to him. Me and him just like the competition in that sense, so we like to push each other. So shout out to him more than anything.
So you and Corey are brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we love like a little competition. Gotta enjoy it.
Yes, we were wondering that, but you weren't in the same teammate, so we just assumed you had the last name. But thanks for clearing that up for us.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, good luck for next week at Donington Park, mate.
Yeah, man, you too. Thank you.
That was Kenneth there, who now we know is his brother Coy is in the same league, so we now know for future reference, Austin. But looks like we do have Dave Chadwick if you want to have a quick word with him. You there, Austin? Okay, let's start.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, we definitely talked to Dave. Dave, how was that race for you?
Hey guys, what's up? Happy Canada Day weekend. That was a fantastic race. It was a lot of fun. I'm learning this new car this week on a track that's a fairly weaker track for me, Silverstone. But I love the feel of the car. I was able to put in a couple of good practice sessions, optimize my time a little bit, and just the race came together. Starting with a banging quali lap, I did a much better quali lap than I expected, and just great racing.
Yeah, you started up on the pole of the AM field, then at the start of the race, it fell down just a quite bit. It looked like you were just letting all the pros who were just a little bit excited to get going just out of the way, but you were very rapid at the end of the race, and you were giving us a show at the end of the race and fighting with Timothy and David at the end.
Yeah, I had to do something. I was like stuck in the same position for a while, and I was dropping back, and then I get focused and I catch up. I was like, I got to do something. And I was trying to play some mind games, just to keep him on his toes and force some errors. But it's all fun and games.
It certainly looked like you were having a lot of fun, especially on this Canada Day weekend. Congrats on winning and the pole. It seemed the only mistake that it seemed like you had was in your pit stop. You missed the pit box and you're reversing it.
Yes. So for me, it's pretty much, there's always one thing that goes wrong in a league race. And fortunately, it was just overshooting my pit stop this time. I was a little bit frustrated when it happened. I lost a couple seconds, but fortunately, I built a big enough gap that I could cushion mistakes like that from happening. Something I'll have to do some modifications to my crew chief for sure, so that doesn't happen again.
Well, next time it's on the 16th of July. We're going to be at Donington Park. How are you feeling about that one?
It's not a track that I've driven often at all, a handful of times. So I'm looking forward to learning the track, getting some pace out, and maybe just still competing for a podium there.
Well, Dave, it was a great seeing you out there and a great performance by you to take the win here today. Before we let you go, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, thanks to Andy and yourself, Austin. Fantastic commentary as always. Apex Racing and Finding Speed for setting this up, and our sponsor, Asetek SimSports. Thank you, guys. This is a lot of fun. Look forward to the rest of the season. I'm
pretty sure everyone's going to be very happy about that win that you just got right there. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and congrats on the victory.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers. Well, Andy, I believe that is going to be the end of our first race here today at Silverstone. It was a very, very exciting day up and down the field. There was action every single turn, and it was just a lot of fun out there. Next race is the 16th of July at Donington Park. What can we expect from there?
I think some really good racing. It's obviously seen on the race today. Very clean field, a lot of respect given to each of the drivers. Donington is a quick track with some really tricky corners that the drivers will have to do a couple of hairpins thrown in there. So, it bodes well that around this track today in Silverstone, the drivers gave each other a lot of respect overall, should I say. So I'm really looking forward to Donington. It should be a great race in 2 weeks' time.
Well, thank you all for joining us during our first round of the Asetek SimSports GT Challenge here at Silverstone, presented by FindingSpeed.com. For more information about the series, go to FindingSpeed.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Apex Racing TV. I've been joined by Adam Thompson with Samuli Kumo in the production booth, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.